Good afternoon, everyone. From a sunny and rather warm Dunrovin Ranch, we are delighted to have some warmth in that sun, and I know that my good friend Brandon Carpenter is feeling much the same. He's got some sun over on his side of the state, too. Hi, Brandon.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Hope everyone's well.
Yeah, we're doing good, and I know you're in the middle of calving season and are going to share some videos with us after. I'd like to kind of explain to people that our ranch camera went kaput this week, so we have a different view of life right now, and Brad is going to be at a great disadvantage because our arena cam will not give you the same kind of coverage that our ranch camera was giving us. Our ranch camera's up a 37-foot pole, so James will be here this weekend to put in some brand new cameras that our members, by the way, Brandon, bought for us.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. Oh, they were very generous. Yeah. So we're going to get some really high-class cameras going here. At any rate, so even with some disadvantage, I have such faith in these three, in Brandon and Nicole and in Jax. I'm increasingly impressed with Jax and always impressed with Nicole and have always been impressed with you. So at that, I'm going to step out and let people have fun with you guys.
You set an awful high bar there. We appreciate it. I'm sure I can talk for Nicole, and we'll let Jax talk for himself, but you always set those expectations pretty high. Thank you. Nicole, how are you?
I'm good. It's nice and toasty outside today. I think it's like a solid 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Outside today. I think it's like a solid.
Isn't that funny how that perspective, the other day it was 15 above and it felt warm, because we'd had 30 below with wind chill weather and dealing with that. And you get the wind to stop blowing and the sun come out. That old infrared heat from that big ball of fire in the sky really does good things for you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Jax is already, I'm just watching him a little bit here, and he's not putting much pressure on that inner tube at all. It looks like he's already learning to give to it, even just the weight of it.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job at standing tied. I'm just kind of waiting for something crazy to happen, but he's just chilling.
That's good. And if you don't have something happen, there's a part of you that's going to wonder, okay, is it going to happen? And when it does, how bad is it going to be? If you're in a case like this, and then what's really nice is to have something happen one time and it be semi-bad, but they recover, but you have a baseline understanding of okay, this horse is really solid and we have no issues. Instead of, I think this horse is solid, but we haven't really been able to test it fully because nothing has been that horrendous to get a lot of spook out of him. So, this is very, very good. And we'll probably push him a little bit to try to induce a little bit of him pulling back or trying to get away from it like we were doing last time. But yeah, I'm like you and Suzanne. I'm pretty impressed with how he has handled all of this at such a very young age. This is very young for him. And obviously we can't work too long, but he's doing great. Did you work him at all this week then?
I did. I had him tied a couple of times. Still same thing. He was he's a little fussy about, nibbling on everything. But once he kind of calmed down, and at one point, I think he took a nap for 30 seconds. I was like, hey, cool, we're done.
Well, you know what? Boredom will do that. I think I've done that actually behind the wheel of a vehicle, unfortunately, from time to time. Did he hit the rumble strip on the side of the road for you? Is that what woke him up? Well, there's one thing that we can do, and I like what he's doing. I mean, he's just going to the very edge of that where he's feeling it, and he's really not pulling hard. Notice that? He gets to the edge, and he's bringing his head right back. This is very good. So you've got him tied just about the perfect distance where he can put his head down, but he really can't get his leg over the top of it too easily. And you remember last time he did, he put both legs over, was tying himself up. That's all really good training. That is not, for those that are watching it, that is not something that, you try to avoid. You want them to figure out that a leg over a rope or a rope wrapped around their feet is not going to hurt them. If they just stand calm, stand quiet, they can get themselves out of it, or somebody will come and get them out of it. It's just good training. It's going that extra mile instead of keeping them completely safe and, wrapped in bubble wrap. We're allowing them to have bad things happen on a very limited basis to try to desensitize them to something that's not normal. And a horse's foot pulled up in the air with a rope wrapped around it is not normal. They're not born that way. So, it's just good training. And that's the difference between good training and great training. And that is that a good training allows them to stand there. Great training allows them to stand there, get themselves in trouble, and then allow them to get themselves out of trouble. Sans them being hurt or injuring themselves, because that's experience, and that's experience that will carry for them forever. And, it's not, don't be afraid to let them kind of get themselves into a mess, where they can get themselves out. You kind of watch them. You still got to be their caretaker, but that's really good. I like what he's doing there. He's just really nice and calm. The length of that rope is a little better today than it was last night, because it's a little bit shorter. But what we can also do is shorten that up quite close to that inner tube. And so we're going to all extremes. And so let's try to get him a little bit of a spook to him, or at least maybe even go over towards the tack room and out of his sight, because he does have you keyed into his eyesight quite a bit. And we noticed last time you went into that room, that tack room, and out of his sight, he was trying to find you. And so why don't we try that again? I know this is very, very passive type of training, but that's what it is. That's why it works so well, especially with these young horses. Look at that. See, he's got it over the top of his head. Oh, he's kind of wearing a little crown there. Look at that. Nice. Very good. Again, good stuff. So it's kind of passive training, but go ahead and go into the tack room and let's see what he does. Let's see if he tries to follow you and look around. And there's kind of a misnomer that training is you having them in your hand all the time, and that's not necessarily true. Yeah, see, he's wanting to follow you. He's wanting to look for you. And it's okay to peek at him, just don't let him see you.
Okay.
A little frustrated. He wants to grab that, almost seemed like he wanted to grab that rope with his nose and put it in his teeth and see if he can pull it away. Now he's just sticking his nose in the water. Pawing at the snow. Typical little kid. That's just what little kids do. Jumping in mud puddles. He's not sure what to do. But it's nice and calm not being sure, so that's very good. I like this. He's reduced the tension on that rope. He's kind of back to sniffing it and playing with it a little bit. And he might try to find you, try to look for you. Almost seems like he's trying to, but not putting a lot of effort into it. Yeah, can you see him?
I'm kind of peeking out.
Okay. Yeah, he's kind of looking for you, but he's not excited. He's not worried. Are there any other horses around you really close, around him that are in his eyesight?
No, I think the donkeys and ponies are kind of in the back of the barnyard right now, so he can't see them.
All right, so he truly is alone, and for a young horse, that's kind of an uncomfortable position for them to be. Completely alone, nobody around. Horses are gregarious anyway, and little ones like this are very insecure about who's around, where they're at. At least can I be in eyesight? And if I'm in eyesight of them, a lot of times they'll be talking and wanting to get with them and be part of that herd instead of, having the confidence to be alone like that. And which, again, is all part of the training. You teach confidence into these horses.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, nice and calm and quiet. Why don't you jump out of there and try to spook him a little bit? See if he kind of startles himself.
Maybe?
Well, that was a horrible failure, wasn't it? That's good.
I have an empty grain bag in here. We could
there you go.
Utilize that.
Yeah, do. Anything that you can think of to try to just make him feel a little bit more uncomfortable and come to the end of that line so that it reinforces that, you know what, when this pulls against me, I have to let it go because it's fruitless.
Right. Oh, okay. Well.
I picked his head up, but that's about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
He's going to watch with his left eye. He's going to turn. Just kind of toss that out in front of him, yeah. Remember how we were working a little bit with some of the floppiness and the ball bouncing and that kind of stuff. He's likely to just stick his nose down and smell it.
Right.
I really, really like this. I'm very impressed with him. Very good.
What do you think?
Is he chewing? Yep. Chewing and licking? Very good. That's really good. Look at him come towards that, sticking his head down and stretching his neck out, wanting to know more about it. He's a very intelligent horse. So kind of put that sack up over the top of your head, or not so it doesn't drop a bunch of grain on you, but just kind of put it up in the air and shake it a bunch so it's higher than his head. Look at that. Nice. He thinks you've lost your ever-loving mind. Why in the world would you do this? Go ahead and smack it on the rail. Make it make some more noise and some... There you go. Nice. Now, I bet you if you quit for a minute, he'll start chewing again. If he does, then it shows he's got a little bit of anxiety, but he's holding it. Dropping his head. See if he chews. Give him a second. I don't see him sigh. He's not got much anxiety at all. I'm surprised. I thought he would at least lick and chew a little bit. Maybe mostly chew, but yeah, he's not at all. Good. That is really good. Okay, Nicole, let's do this. Go ahead and shorten his lead rope up on that inner tube so that the inner tube is right against his halter lead. So he can't move a lot. He hasn't got a lot of place to go, and it's gonna just kind of close his world down a little bit. And of course, horses being a little bit more like they're claustrophobic, we'll see if that induces a little bit of something to make him not really panic, but get uncomfortable and want to try to get away from it. And don't be afraid to shorten that thing right up there, right to it. And he may play with it a lot because it's right there under his face, and it might be in his way some, but that's okay. That doesn't matter. He needs to get over that. Did he try to nibble you?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I thought you popped him a little bit?
Yeah.
Outstanding. Good job. It looked like that was in real time and really good timing on that as well. The rail is in the way for me. I can't really see what's going on there, but Just
Right.
overall behavior. I thought that's what had happened.
Okay, it's not as close as I hoped
Yeah,
it would be.
get that thing right up there.
Okay.
And I like how he's nice and calm. He's just standing right there. He's not trying to move around. That's all also a testament to his personality. He's a very patient young man. There you go. Now he's got a little more weight to it. Yeah, see, he's going to test that edge. It shortened it up, made his little world become smaller. Trying the same things. Very nice. Touched it, and he brought his face right back to that inner tube. Can't put his face all the way to the floor or the ground. Good. See how much more lively he is now with his face. His world is suddenly smaller, and we'll see how he reacts to it. And he may do this a little bit, and then just, like you say, maybe go to sleep for a little bit, too. Is this pretty much what he did? Very similar to this week, then?
Yeah, pretty much just this.
Yeah. You didn't have him tied this short, though, before, I bet.
No, not quite.
Yeah. Well, look where he's holding his head. He's really staying right there where there's little to no pressure on that lead rope. He'll pick it up. Now watch, he's going to drop that head back down here in a moment. And he'll kind of hold it there where the pressure is off. And that is exactly what we want his mind to understand, is that when there's pressure, I take it off. And I do that by giving to it. There it is, right there. Very nice. Got to put it over his nose. That's good. How is he about picking his feet up?
He's usually, he's pretty good about picking them up. When I try to keep them up, he starts to kind of lean into me a bit. So we're still working on that.
So he's one of those guys where you get to be his crutch. Well,
yeah, it feels like he's about to lay down or something.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Oh yeah, put a lot of weight on you, which is unacceptable. Yeah. So that too is kind of in the classification of a push. You know, the push, bite, kick, and strike. So this is a really good opportunity to work on that. And so if you go up there and pick his foot up, he's tied up. He may or may not back away from it. If he does, he's going to put pressure on himself. So pick his foot up, hold it up, but don't let him lean on you. And if he falls over, big deal. That's his fault. He's got to get those feet under him. And so you'll have to kind of stay out of his way, but definitely pick that foot up. Yeah. And start there. And then just don't try to hold him up. Just let that foot come up. And if you have to hop out of the way with that foot in the air and him leaning on you, that's fine. Oh, I see him already starting to lean that way.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's good. So he's conflicted a little bit. You can see him. There we go. Good. He's pulling on that. He's pulling on your line, and then he wants to put his head back. So what we're doing is we're doing two things at once. We're trying to induce him to move away from that and respond to that inner tube and the halter lead. But at the same time, he can't go too far because you got his foot in the air. So you're doing two different types of training. You're using that brain of his two different ways at the same time. Yeah, so don't let it go. Very good. You're doing great. Okay, so he's going to fight it for a while, so hang on to it. Don't let him take it from you. And then when he relaxes for about, 5 seconds or so, then go ahead and drop it and let him have it, and praise him for being relaxed when he's given up. This is what I was really hoping we'd find. Doing good. Oh yeah. Oh, if he started to take, then you got to start over.
Okay.
Very good. Very good.
I think that's good.
Yep, it is. Drop it. Just drop his foot and really praise him. Pet him and praise him for that. Very good.
Good job.
And look at him try to pull away. And he'll pull back. He'll come back. It's okay. We'll let him, and he may not do it while you're standing there. You may have to step back so he comes forward. There we go. Good. Now go ahead and do the other side. Same thing. Did you feel how once he gave up, he really, his entire body, kind of just the whole feel of that horse just kind of relaxed and he gave up?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. If that's what because a lot of, good job. Training is about feel as well. And not, I mean, tactically feel, but I mean, feel that emotion and that energy. Good. Very good. Good job. So now he's got three things going on. He's rebelling a little bit. So he's telling you no, and he's given up on that halter so much. Very good. You can see it happen. You can see him think about it. He wants to take a bite of your hind.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you'll escape that. Well, I'm safely in my house. As always, good job. Very good job. You can see him thinking about it, and as he starts to act, then you're correcting him. And then you're also holding his foot. He's got a lot going on right now. This is very good. And it's still, look how good he is. So, swap hands. Hank, keep that leg up, or keep that foot up, because you're left-handed, right?
Yeah.
So you got that left hand should be your stronger hand. So hang on to that foot. It puts you a little bit further away from him. But when he pulls his head around, you can pop him with your right hand a lot quicker, and you've got more reach is what I'm trying to really get at, is that you can get him even sooner in that thought process. Very good. And when you feel him relax, there, I physically saw him kind of drop his head just ever so much.
Okay.
Look at him holding it up for you. Very good.
Good boy.
Praise him well for that. Oh yeah, he's okay with that. Did you feel him give up, and then as you started to put it down, he picked his foot up a little bit? It looked like at one point. Did he? Did he not?
He did.
Okay, good. And there's oftentimes when you're working with a horse like this, and you get them well done, and they're understanding that when I want your foot up, I'll pick it up. And sometimes you'll approach them, and they'll, especially a hind foot, they'll pick that hind foot up for you, anticipating that you're going to ask for it. Especially when you're doing a lot of work repetitively back and forth, like trimming or shoeing. And sometimes you'll be on one side, like the side you're on now, and they'll lift that other hind foot. And it's nothing other than they've just confused what leg is supposed to be in the air. And it's nothing malicious. They're not warning you. They're not doing anything. They're just picking that foot up for you. Very good.
Yeah.
This is very, very good. Let's go ahead and try to spook him again. Just kind of jump at him a little bit.
Jumpy.
Well, heck, maybe we underestimated him. Maybe we got ourselves a blind horse. I don't think so. I don't think there's a thing wrong with his eyesight.
Right.
Very good. Nice. Yeah, it's just moving away, but nothing abnormal. I mean, this is just put a little space there, but nothing that's out of fear.
Yeah.
Or even anxiety. So can you do one more thing? Can you go to his hind feet now and pick one of them up and do the same thing with it? And you can pick it up and lift it towards his front foot or to the rear, whichever you choose. It's easier to hold it up towards you. There you go. Yeah, there we go. and watch your butt. He might try to reach around there, but he shouldn't be able to. He shouldn't reach you with that inner tube where it's at. Look at that. He's not even moved at all.
Yeah.
Very good. And whenever you feel, whenever you feel it's good, give it back to him.
Good boy.
Very good. Praise him. Oh, yeah. Very good. Now go to the other leg. We are almost done. I mean, we're not going to get much more out of him. And we've done quite a bit to him with little to no reaction, which is what we want. There we go. That's good. And it's okay for him to move around. That's all right, because you're not asking him not to.
Yeah.
And we actually want him to try to move away from that inner tube a little bit, and he's just not going to do it. Not putting hardly any pressure on. Good job. Yeah, he was kind of unbalanced there. He had that offside foot forward, so. Yeah, and he's not moving. He's relaxed. Looking around to see what the heck's going on. Very good. Now, when you feel there, he relaxes out. You're going to try to yep. I was going to say he may try to take it from you one last time and just hang on to it. Don't let him take it. Now, when he relaxes completely and gives you that foot, you can feel him give. When he does, then go ahead and make your count and then drop it when you're ready. And this is actually quite a long time for a young horse like this. We're just trying to push these boundaries a little bit. Very good.
Boy.
Praise him. Good job. Very good job. Now he's going to try to, he's trying to back up and face you. See if his face comes over to you.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
There you go. Nice. Very good. You know, I don't know what else to do with him today. I think do this some more. Try to induce him to move, but to give to that tire, that inner tube. And it's perfect. You know, he's not even a year old, and he is doing stuff that I know a lot of 3- and 4-year-old horses have more trouble than this. So this is excellent job. Very good job. You're nice and patient, and your reaction time is getting better. Oh, there was a sigh, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a little bit of anxiety. He doesn't show it, but then he just released some of that anxiety. Very good. And then comes to you. Look at that. Nice. Very, very good. Yeah. Don't let him push on you, but it's okay if you push on him and praise him. So good job, Nicole. Great job again.
Thanks.
Your timing's getting better and better, more appropriate towards the least amount of time that it takes to correct him when he's doing something. That's so important, and you're doing great, and you're keeping an eye out and anticipating. So we're going to make a horse trainer out of you someday.
Someday.
I'll tell you what, some days I still don't feel like I'm a horse trainer. I've been doing it for, oh my God, geez, I don't even want to tell you how long. It's been over 5 decades. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
All right.
Well, thank you, Brandon.
Absolutely. And I'll maybe give you a call this week. I was supposed to last week, and I tell you, it's been so busy. I was just crazy, and I didn't get that done. But I'll try to give you a little call and just check in with you this week.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to jump in here now, and thank you both. I'm really pleased with what's happening. For one thing, you know, I really want this horse to be able to drive. And I remember when I bought my ponies for driving, I talked with Dick Richardson, the vet. You know Dick.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, I always talk to my clients who are thinking of buying any kind of draft animals. They need 3 things: life insurance, liability insurance, and health insurance.
He's not wrong.
The risk goes up. That's just all there is to it.
It does, and you've got less control over them overall. I mean, you can be on their back and have a pretty good sense of control where you can grab that head if you need to. But sometimes when they're in the lines, you know, you're a ways away from them, and you're restricted on what you can do. And I have, knock on wood, I've not had a wreck with a wagon or buggy. I mean, we've banged into some stuff. What limited, and again, I call myself a hack at driving. So I have not got, eons and eons of time and miles and miles and miles. But even with just a little bit short time of doing some training, oh yeah, I've tore some harness up. I've torn up some equipment. You have some wrecks because there's only so much you can do when they're in the lines like that and out away from you. It's amazing what leverage up close will do for you for being a friend.
Well, and I really look in total wonder at these huge, big teams that people drive. I mean, these mule teams that are 10, pairs long.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I don't know how they do that.
Your hands are like this in the lines. You've just got a lot going on there.
A lot going on. And the horses or mules have to step over the traces.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, there's some great video out there of horses, or especially mules. Mules are so much smarter than horses, frankly. And to watch those mules in these really long, when they've got like 20, 30 up, and they're taking a turn. Well, your traces, or what they pull with, those big long, and whether they're on a chains or leather, generally chains at that point, these mules anticipate it, and they watch, and they literally jump over those.
Yeah,
so that they're out of there and get on the right side of them. It's amazing to watch how smart they are and how well done they are when they're working together.
Well, our hope is that Jax and his full sibling that will be born this May can end up being a pair that will pull. And this kind of personality, I think, is a huge plus for.
Yes. Yeah, with that, and really that's why a lot of these draft horses are, they're cold blood horses, which are a lot more laid back, a lot quieter. You don't see a lot of Egyptian Arabs in a 6-up hitch, for good reason.
For sure. But I also want to give compliments to Kate and Jan Sousa. They do a really good job of imprinting their youngsters.
They do. Yes, they do. They do a great job. I think a lot of both of those two ladies.
Yeah, they're great. So, Brandon, I know you've been out and up all night the last few weeks getting your cattle calved. And so I really appreciate you having sent us some videos here. And with that, I think I'll tell me if this is the right one to show first. I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
And let's see if we've got, people are anxious to know what's going on with you out there. Everybody knows that we've had storms pass through, and that means you've really had storms pass through. Whenever it's bad here, you can count on it being twice as bad where you are.
Yeah, it's tough. This, I think we talked about, and you showed a picture of Lisa taking care of a little calf in front of the fire.
Yeah.
A week ago. Right. This is that same calf.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a heifer. This heifer is the one I was so mad at. When she calved, she didn't realize she had a calf, and the calf suffocated in the sac, amniotic sac. And so we tried to take this little heifer, which was a twin that we found nearly dead and nearly froze down. And one of the worst ones I'd seen in really my experience, and I didn't think we were going to make her, but Lisa got her in the tub in that tepid water, warmed her up slowly, got her in front of the fire, and we bottle fed her until we taught her how to nurse. And I taught her, and the hardest part actually was not that much with her to get her to take a bottle or a nipple. It was to get this heifer to not kick her, and because she knew it wasn't her calf. And I tried to skin her calf and put the calf skin on top of her so she had that odor of her calf, but it was too late. Finally, it shows right here, this little heifer took this calf about 2 a.m. when I took this video, and then it leads into the next video. So this is the correct one first.
Okay, so let's take a look at it.
Well, that's a success. Finally got this heifer on her own to take this little fireside girl that was the first one that I tried to save, and have been struggling to get her to take her. So we're looking good. Now, at 2 a.m, bottle feeding for this one. She's chewing in her sleep, so maybe she's hungry.
Well, it's just never ending. How many do you have come at once sometimes, Brandon?
Oh, I think yesterday we had 4 or 5. The day before, I think about the same amount. So, it's not easy. You take it as you come and you try to adjust to accommodate everybody. And you'll notice that crunching sound was her chewing. It was actually chewing. And then this is her, a couple of days. Well, we tried to get her to actually take a bottle and she wouldn't. And so I did something I really don't like to do, because you can do some damage to their esophagus, if you do it too much. And that is to literally put a feeding tube into her. And so that's what this is.
Okay, so let's take a look at this.
Yeah, this is that same little one that was laying there chewing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the other one we had in the house at the same time on the fire.
How you doing?
And I'm going to kind of lube that up with some milk. No, come here. And we are not sure we're just getting enough in her, so I'm going to tube her, make sure she's got plenty of food. I'm feeling for that.
Did you
Going down her esophagus.
Did you need to wet it down more?
There it is. Yep.
Oh my God. Okay.
Get it in.
She doesn't like it.
Undo the clamp.
We understand.
She is not a happy camper.
But she's not. I don't think she's feeding on her own.
Come here.
Ordinarily, I would help, but I have the camera today.
There you go.
Or maybe I don't help.
Just draining in there.
Unzip a little.
Probably it's going, but get a little vent. Not too fast, but fast enough. There we go. And you can see her nose is black. It's frostbit. She's going to lose the tips of her ears.
Hi, turd.
Her little buddy right here was with her at the house fireplace.
No, you can't have that.
And this girl has just not thrived. She was a lot further down, and I didn't know if we were going to keep her alive even then, but she's been okay. But she's got no nursing action. She doesn't suck on a nipple. She'll chew, but that doesn't do any good. Then I have to force it into her, so in order to keep her plenty hydrated, we are tubing her once a day, and then I'm putting about 1.5 quarts in her as best I can.
Oh, the tail's wagging, Dad.
Oh, that's good. Warming it up. Now she's chewing a little bit. But I'm trying to her on the bottle so I can wean her off that. I don't like tubing if I don't have to.
I don't know how else to hydrate.
No. There we go. There we go. We pull it out gently. There we go. And she said, yuck. Oof. Don't like that.
Well, oh, sorry. You need to
Kiddo.
eat on your own, baby.
But you see how her ears are, especially this one's she's gonna lose them. She's gonna lose hers too. Right? She's about as bright-eyed as you can get, as she has been. I decided to tag her because we're getting so many calves around here that I don't want to
Lose track
of who's who. Not that it's too hard to do it for her, because
Okay, baby. Grow, thrive, please.
thrive. Try to live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the other one we had in the
Hi, baby.
house.
Boy, this video brings up a couple of issues for me, Brandon. One is, did you learn the tubing from a vet or from your experience with your dad and your relatives on your ranch?
Yes. That's the short answer. You're shown how, and God, as a kid, I did not want to do it. I mean, I almost had to get beaten to tube a calf, but some reassurance, and you do it a time or two, and you're told what to do. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you just got to push it down the left side of their throat. Well, their left side. And that's true to a point. But the best reassurance I ever had was from a vet that told me, if you're in the trachea and going to stick that down in your lungs, you will not feel that in their throat. You cannot feel that because it's centered. If you get down the esophagus, which is on the left side of the neck, you will feel that the tip, that blue tip, that bulb, you will feel that go down that side of that neck. And if you can feel that, you're in the esophagus. You can't feel it when it's going through the trachea. So that gave me probably more confidence than anything. And I have had to pull it out because I think I was in the trachea before and feed that in. And then once I feel that there, I don't come back out. I continue and gently and push that in. And what it didn't show is it didn't show on this one, me kind of measuring how far to push it in. You kind of go back past their shoulder because you want to get it in the stomach, but you don't want to push any further than you have to, but you got to get beyond, the sphincter muscle at the top of the stomach too, or that first stomach. So there's a kind of a fine place to put it. And I knew where the landmark already was. Otherwise I would have measured and shown that, because I think this was probably her second or third tubing. I think I've tubed her 4 or 5 times. But you'll notice one of the things that her eyes were quite dull. And those eyes were as bright as we had seen her since we picked her up. And the one that come up and tried to chew on the tubing, we found them both at the same time. They calved within hours of each other. And then we had a really bad storm with a snow ground blizzard on Saturday morning. They both calved Friday afternoon, early afternoon. We saw them. Lisa and I went out in the pasture and saw them. These are from some older cows, so I wasn't concerned about them. I didn't have them in the corral, but watched where they had calved, saw that they both were up and had nursed. So we thought, okay, we're good to go. These cows are going to take care of them. Then we got this high wind and a blizzard and found this one laying by at the edge of the feed ground. That cow had brought her in probably, over a half a mile through snow and left her right there on the feed ground and was feeding, but had given up on her because when I saw her, I'm looking and I kind of looked and I went, it doesn't look right. I told Lisa, I said, that looks like a calf laying there instead of a big pile of cow poop. And so we drove over and sure enough, she was nearly froze in place with her head up, but her body was covered in snow. I got out and I thought she was dead. Got to her and she was able to move, but her neck was very stiff. Her body or her limbs were stiff. So she was almost froze down. I did see her eye move and an eyelash eyelid try to blink. We picked her up, threw her in the pickup, got her in the house, and the same thing. I knew that she'd already had a little bit of colostrum and some milk in her before. So I said, the best thing we can do is get her in the house and get her dried off and try to get something down her throat, get her to take a bottle. And then Lisa, I left her in the house with, of course, another baby in front of the fire. The other one was in the barn by this time. So she's in front of the fire with this calf trying to warm it up. I went out to where I saw they had calved the day before, looking for that other calf that had chewed on or was trying to chew on the tube. And I couldn't see her, but the visibility would clear a little bit close to where they had calved. And I finally saw something. I was looking in binoculars and I saw something and I had the calf sled. I took it with me and I went out there towards that direction, pulling the sled and found the other one who was not as in quite a bad a condition. She turned her head when I kind of hollered at her and she turned her head. Well, I picked her up, put her in the sled, got her in the pickup, got her home. So we had both of them in front of the fire at the same time. And the other one, did quite a bit better, but this one here would not suck. She, and the other cow took that other calf after about 2 days. I had to teach her how to nurse again. And this girl, I keep thinking that her neural system was so depressed with the freeze up. And, you can see the obvious, frozen frostbite on her nose. She's going to lose some skin on there, but all she could do was gross motor skills with her mouth. She was just chewing. She was not trying to use her tongue and suck on anything. And so we just kept doing this, tubing her, hydrating her. And I was getting a little worried because when you would tube her, you'd get much more milk into her much faster. It would take me probably a half hour to 45 minutes to get a pint down her with a bottle and a normal nipple. Where you can see how fast a quart can go in. You got to kind of slow it down, but it goes in fast. Well, it would make her urinate. And of course, you're always watching poop and pee on animals if you're in this business. And I could see it was getting kind of almost a Pepsi color, that's not good. That's, you're really taxing her kidneys, and she's probably having some rhabdomyolysis. So I, thought, well, I better intubate, or not intubate, but tube her more often to get more liquid in her so that those kidneys can flush and not build up a lot of muscle damage that's obviously taken place from being frozen down. Those muscles have had some stress on them, so you've got a lot of blood and stuff in the system from frozen muscle. So anyway, I just kept working her, kept doing this, and I was up every morning, well, about every 4 hours feeding her. And then I think the next video will show you when I was trying to get her kind of grafted onto her mother and see if we could get some milk in her mouth and get her to suck. And finally, yesterday midday, this was several days ago. When I tried with the cow, that was probably 2 days ago. And then yesterday, we finally got her grafted onto this cow. Once she figured out and got that sucking action, it's like the lights were coming on slowly, and she would go through different stages of being from catatonic to reasonably bright-eyed, or the ability to, at least you could see she was functioning and reacting to things instead of just being catatonic. And that next video shows a little bit more success.
Yes, exactly. And, we just had somebody say on our chat, Brandon, that they have been learning so much from you that they realize a modern rancher is part accountant, vet, part engine repairman, part scientist, part entrepreneur, part mom to everybody, and always on duty. Just amazing. And I want to add that you have to have the right spouse. And Lisa is huge asset. I know she is. And this is not a light issue for somebody to introduce somebody to this way of life.
Yeah, she just didn't know what she was getting into 30-some years ago.
Yeah.
I asked her now if she still felt like she'd made a bad choice, and she didn't answer me with a straight, direct answer. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah.
I told her the other day, there is no way that I could have done this year without her. We've been lucky the last couple of years when I was living here and she was still down at that other place that we sold. But you get overwhelmed. You get too many animals to do at once. You have to literally decide which one you're going to let die.
Yeah.
Because you may be able to save the others if you take your attention away from this one and let it go. And it's a sad reality, but it's not fun. It's not a decision that you feel good about, because when it's over with, you think, God, maybe I could have saved that calf. Maybe I could have stayed up that 25th hour of the day and saved that animal. But, it's not just a one-time thing. I mean, we've been at this calf was not on her mother for a solid 5 days. And then I start worrying about the health of the cow. Is she going to start developing mastitis in that, in her bag? So I'm trying to milk her out, and I've got perfect cloven hoof mark bruises on my legs, on both my knees, where her mother especially just nailed the crap out of me, and enough that, I can usually take quite a bit of that, but I'd have to stop and kind of rub my leg a little bit and get her back at it. But honestly, I think one of the best things, this kept her hydrated, and it kept some needed protein, some milk in her body. But when I was able to get her next to the cow, like it shows in this next video, I was able to then go ahead and milk the cow out while this calf was there. And the calf kind of provided some protection. Mentally, the cow knew the calf was there and trying. So she didn't kick. And I was able to milk her, and then I would take 2 of those pints and we'd put it in the bag and then tube her. Or then and we did that once or twice, and then I was able to just fill it and get her kind of started. So the colostrum and the milk fat in that natural milk, there's no replacing that. they call it a milk replacer when it's in powdered form, and it's a replacer, but it's a far cry in comparison to that mother's milk and the fat, the butter fat content and what that baby needs. I think did more good for her neurological system to bring her back faster than anything else.
Yeah, and I think that's an aspect that people don't really recognize, that the mental aspect, the neurological aspect of it. If a calf is down too long, then that becomes impaired and they can't help themselves.
Right.
It's really
and that's really where this calf was. Now, I have by far now, this is an all-time greatest save that I've ever seen. This calf, if it had been my grandpa's or my dad, they probably would have said, yeah, she's done. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to waste our time. And of course, I got a kind-hearted little girl that I married that she will do anything to try to save him. The bad part of that is if she doesn't save him, I hate to see her cry for any reason. And oh my God, I just pray that, this calf is going to make it. And honestly, there were a couple of times there, a couple of days ago, when I was just thinking to the calf and talking to her as I'm trying to feed her, it's like, you've got to live. If you don't live, I want you to just go ahead and die, because I will use your hide to try to save another calf that I have here that needs saving. And luckily, the other calf, that heifer took that calf, and now she kind of come around. So it's worked out. We've saved all three of these calves.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that really I think about, Brandon, is each one of these guys are individual. You don't treat one the same that you do the other. Yep. One cow is different from the other. One calf is different from the other. You really have to have a feel for it. It's not, there's no cookie cutter formula that you can follow.
No. And the hard part of that is for me, Lisa was asking, she goes, because she doesn't have the experience that I've got with it. And she says, what do you want? What can we do now? And I'm out of answers. I said, I don't know. We'll just keep trying to do what we're doing, and hopefully she'll come out of it. I mean, there's only so much you can do. Yeah. And let's be really honest about it. If I was to call a vet and say, what can we do with this calf? She might have said nothing. And even if she did, and we did something with her, the calf might die. You've got more into this calf, a dead calf, than what it's worth. So it's a business decision at that point too. But this video now is getting her mother in the chute, in the head catch, in the barn, and you can see my propane tanks with the heaters, and it's cold, and it shows you what this calf did not yesterday but the day before, and you'll get a little bit of entertainment here with the milk spigots.
Okay, here we go.
Did you get a drink?
Okay, Brandon, you were in a very vulnerable position there with that cow.
Yeah, again, I tried that a couple of days prior to that, and that cow just kicked the living crap out of me. And I don't bruise easily, but I've got some pretty good bruises on my legs from right in the knees where she kicked me, a cow kicked me. But, I was trying to milk her out. I was trying to make sure she had milk flowing without the calf there, which was kind of a mistake. You think she can't see you, but she knows that calf isn't there. And so she didn't want me doing anything, but I was trying to milk her out a little bit, keep some milk flowing, and so she doesn't develop mastitis. But then when I put that calf up there, she knew that calf was there, and I was able to, kind of maneuver around and standing right beside him. A cow can't really kick you straight back too easily. They kick off to the side. So, I was trying to milk her from the back, and I'm trying to squirt milk into that calf's mouth or on her nose and mouth so she could taste it, and then maybe spur her and open her mouth and squirt it in her mouth. And I ended up getting a spot in my face of the nice, rich buttermilk, butter fat. Yum. That colostrum is not good tasting stuff, but it's still sweet. Lisa, that's what Lisa was laughing about. And I couldn't do anything because I'm trying to stay very quiet so she really doesn't know that I'm there, that I'm the one that's pulling the chains, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, we applaud you for the amount of love and care that goes into your herd, Brandon. It's just so obvious. And were that all ranchers and farmers were of your attitude and skill. I mean, it does take a lot, and I don't think anybody recognizes just how much those years of experience really count. We were just talking about there's no formula, but a little thing can happen, and you recognize it where somebody else wouldn't because they hadn't been there before. It's like when I've been guiding in the backcountry, you can't tell somebody how to guide. You have to just recognize when things are going south.
Right.
And figure out how to do it. And you only get that from experience.
Well, and you have to think, and it sounds fatalistic, and I've said this before, with a horse training, you always think, what could go wrong? What's the worst thing that could go on here? And you try to set it up so that does not happen. And you recognize that ahead of time if you can. So it's the same to me, it's a critical thinking skill that you can apply to anything. What's the worst thing that can happen? How can I prevent that from happening? If something does happen, how do I turn it around? How do I change it? And, when Lisa asked me, what do we do now? And sometimes you're out of options. You start making up options. You think ahead. What could I possibly do? What does this animal need? And, she actually came up with a really, really good suggestion. She said, if this happens again, you can feel inside this calf's mouth when they're in the house, and their mouth, their tongue, everything is ice cold. It's cold. And the primary objective is to get them warm on the outside and get something inside that's warm, some milk to get that core warmed up. And she said, what if we wet down like a washcloth that's not sopping wet, but moist and hot and warm and get that baby's mouth warmed up? It's a great idea. I'd never thought of that. It's a great idea. And if that happens again, that's one of the things we will do. I mean, and that's coming from somebody, she's using critical thinking skills. Again, it's a medical emergency.
Yeah.
And what do you need to do?
Yeah. It's a wonderful life you live, and in the sense that it occupies you fully, sometimes too fully for sure.
Yeah. Well, and you got to realize, by and large, most people in agriculture, this is no different than what everybody else does. By the vast majority, this is the norm. You say it's a good life, it's a hard life. When you look at me, I'm only 29 years old, and look, I look like I'm 60.
One of the things I noticed when I got into this business in terms of taking care of other people and horses was I became uber aware of my surroundings. And that's not something you can replace. I continue to be uber aware, and I really appreciate that. And I'm sure that, I can remember riding with my neighbor, Libby McClay, across her land, and we'd be riding along galloping, and she'd see something, and immediately it would catch her eye because she had ridden that country so often. Mm-hmm. She could tell if a blade of grass was out of order. And there's something wonderful about that kind of togetherness with nature and with the animals. There's just, and it's that level of responsibility that instills it in you. You really have to be there in that moment with them.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's a very good point. I mean, we take that for granted. We just, it's situational awareness. Every soldier has it. Every cop has it. Every doctor has it. Yep. Pilots, when I was a pilot, I kept hearing the same thing over and over again, situational awareness, and it's something that I had picked up way back when I was a defensive tactics instructor in law enforcement. I mean, it's how you stay alive. It's how you go home every day, unscathed, hopefully. And it's that you become tuned to what's around you. And when you're familiar with that, you're right. You recognize when something isn't quite in place. A rock doesn't look right. A shrub doesn't quite look right, or it's out of place, and you go to it and you find out, well, it's not a shrub after all. I got a dead calf laying there, or,
right.
You fill in the blank. It all happens, and it is, and it's dangerous work. I got a cow out there right now that she had a calf, and she does not want me anywhere around it. And you know what? People get killed doing this every single year. So it's not without its risk. And I know that. Heck, I can go out there at 2 a.m. Lisa's heard me leave the house to go out to make a check, and I may not be back for an hour and a half. Like with this bottle feeding, or I may be back in 20 minutes if there's nothing going on. Everybody looks good. Everybody's content. There's nobody's calving. But you know what? I could go out there and she could fall back asleep, and I'm not there at 5 a.m. when she wakes up. That could be the end. And everybody knows that. And every spouse that's left at the house early in the morning, they don't sleep well because they know too that could happen.
Yeah. But I have to say there's something about living life where there's a tad bit of danger, because there's something about a sweetness of being alive in that moment.
It makes you appreciate. Have you seen how mean my wife is? Help.
Well, Brandon, you are a gift to all of us. And let me tell you, we're all there with you, and we all keep you in our heart and mind as you go through your calving season. Thank you so very much for coming and visiting with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Well, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I like to share this. It's something that's important to us. You can always do it better. I just hope the cattle markets are up and the price of hay is down. So, that'll help us get to next year too. But I appreciate you guys sticking with us and learning. And this is not polished, as everybody's well aware. It's a lot of this is off of the cuff, and it's sometimes in a hurry, and there's mud and blood and tears, and I don't know which one outweighs the other. But there's plenty of all to go around.
Well, you certainly enrich our lives by sharing it, Brandon. Thank you so much. And thank you for your continued expert horse training coaching with Nicole and Jackson. All of our horses here have benefited from you over the years. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got to go deflate my ego now. So with that, I'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.